the church isn't doing enough to educate people until all of a sudden it starts an education program. And then all of a sudden education is oppression.
It will pay off and will be known for that.
Have you ever met a black person before? Because everybody knows that oppression, real oppressors, real tyrants always begin by educating the populace.
I'm spending money like I just got paid. $100 bills, tell them keep the change. Come on.
Yeah, and explain to me. So are we insinuating that the NAACP is stupid?
Pop a bottle, about to make it rain. Let me give you something now to celebrate. Come on.
In fact, if any colonialism is happening, it would probably be from the wokes.
And if you're wondering why I move the way I do, I just feel so good.
It's a fantastic program, and it lifts kids. Look, there could be an Albert Einstein living in a grass hut in Sierra Leone. There could be an Isaac Newton living there.
Yeah.
But if they don't have the resources to get educated, they don't have the opportunity to do it, we all lose.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, back to Ward Radio. I'm your host, Cardinellis. Today I'm joined in the studio by Jonah Barnes and Luke Hansen, editor-in-chief of Ward Radio News. And we're going to be discussing, I can't believe these words are coming out of my mouth, but just after claiming the church doesn't do enough to promote education, especially education of women, the church announces a very successful education campaign in Sierra Leone, at which point they really quickly run into the studio and they reboot up their laptops to blog about the Mormon church's campaign of education as oppression. Yes, you heard that right, ladies and gentlemen. Anti-Mormons are now claiming that the church's education in Sierra Leone is a form of oppression. So we brought Luke Hansen, who served his mission in Sierra Leone, as well as Ghana, if I'm not mistaken. Correct, Luke?
Yes, 1 year in each. Correct.
Okay, 1 year in each, to talk to us about, was he just part of the oppressive education atriarchy? You know what I'm saying? Was him doing this trigonometry, which, by the way, you with a shaved head, you know what I'm saying? Doing trigonometry.
Whoa,
that's a pretty solid picture, bro.
I just got a haircut yesterday, and that is way less than what I have now.
Yeah, exactly. You literally look like you're in boot camp. Like, you literally look like you're a guy in boot camp who's teaching fellow privates first class. You know what I'm saying? This is how you triangulate mortars. You know what I'm saying? But anyway, is Luke just
for that?
Yeah, is Luke just a big fat oppressor? Is education oppression, or is it a godly quality we should all seek after as a good thing? I don't know. You brought this to my attention, Jonah. Tell us what's going on.
Yes, well, Luke, I'm sorry. Your reign of terror is at an end. We're going to expose. You're going to expose your oppressing of the poor people of Sierra Leone here. So, yes, the church just a few weeks ago was meeting with, sent over John D. Wilson, a director of educational support, to meet with the people over in Sierra Leone to see if their program is working. I don't know if you know this. The church has people who their only job is to look at the programs that they're doing and determine if they should keep doing them. Like, if they don't work, this person just like watches, and if they're not producing results, they say cancel it, and they just scuttle programs. So they send this guy over to Sierra Leone to check on our educational initiatives. Okay, and it's called Success in Schooling, I think, or Succeed in School program, SIS.
Okay,
Succeed in School program. It's got like 1,800. Kids enrolled in it. It's only for like 11 to 18 years old. So right around like middle school, high school age. It's an after school program, and they learn reading, writing, arithmetic, study skills, life skills, mathematics, all kinds of stuff like that, preparing for exams and things like that. It's this awesome program if you're gullible enough to think that education is a good thing, right?
Jeez.
So in kind of looking at this and thinking, oh man, this is really, really cool. I went to see what the anti-Mormons thought about this, and oh boy, is it a doozy.
Okay, so can I play the clips now?
Well, first there's a couple comments from Reddit that you probably should highlight here. They're in white, just these little
So this one right here that says, exactly, this is Neocolonialism 101. Most people don't let American boys rope them into a wealthy U.S. church because they believe in Joseph Smith. Many people do it because of the prestige and opportunities the church has. Oh, yeah, it's like the apostles that went out to preach the gospel. They were just so stoked to get crucified upside down and get disemboweled and get run through by a spear. Yeah, I bet you Sidney Rigdon was just stoked to get traumatic brain damage and all of the families that couldn't wait to have their children shot in the Hans Mill massacre. They were just stoked. And yeah, nowadays, by the way, good luck, good luck going through that job interview. You know what I'm saying? Saying, yeah, I'm a member of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. When the angry feminist HR manager, you know what I'm saying, looks at you and it's like, oh man, we hate this guy before he's even showed up, right? So anyway, second comment right here, RedVex320 says, I've never read these before either way, so this is kind of crazy. Says, the 15 at some point had to sit down and literally talked about where they thought the people were the least educated and had the least access to the internet, and Africa was the winner.
And then
why is that a bad thing?
Yes. Okay. So listen.
But also, but first off, listen to what you're saying. This is like all those woke-scolds that constantly come out and they're like, oh my gosh, photo ID is so racist. Like black people, like they don't know how to do things, like get IDs. And like, that's so bad for you to require an ID. And it's like, are you literally saying like, do you not hear yourself? You're like Joe Biden when he's like, rich kids can have a record player too. You know what I'm saying? It's like, oh my gosh.
Have you ever met a black person before? Like,
yeah, it's brutal. It's absolutely brutal. So anyway, okay. And the last comment here, I haven't even read these ones yet, but holy smoke. What's this one? Their plan is to establish Mormon educated people in business/government positions using cheap BYU Pathways programs they can do. Okay, first off, the BYU Pathways program is not cheap. It's cheap for the consumer that's taking advantage of it. But 77% of the cost of BYU is paid for by the generous donations of people that contribute to the fund and the board of trustees. It's cheap for you because you're a greedy bastard who only thinks of himself. And all of these ex-Mormon, anti-Mormons that were educated basically for practically free at BYU, only having to pay 23% of their cost in a state where you can still rent an apartment for $500 if you're a student. That's absurd. I have friends that are paying $5,000 a month for their housing at UCLA,
honestly.
right? But like these people get a world-class six-figure education for pennies on the dollar and then have the audacity to come back out and say, oh my gosh, I was oppressed. I was so oppressed. So anyway, I'll finish this comment. Their plan is to establish Mormon educated people in business/government positions using cheap BYU Pathways programs so they can do it without Africans attending the actual universities. Oh,
that's the plan, huh?
Yeah, okay.
We don't want to educate them. We don't want them to get educated, so we go to Africa and provide free schooling for them.
Yeah, but by the way, what are the actual universities? You're literally like the snobby colonialist men in the Lost City of Z that are like, no savages can cross the ocean, or no great civilization, not in the savage countries. So anyway, the quote continues, this gives them more influence and essentially more power. It is nefarious. Man, they never reveal anything.
The 15 got together and said, we're going to go educate people for free because that's, evil or something. Because everybody knows that oppression, real oppressors, real tyrants always begin by educating the populace. I mean, all the time, right? That's how you keep power over people.
So how was your education?
The American South?
Yeah.
Definitely the American. Wait. No, that was except for Brigham Young. That wasn't it.
One counter example. All right, yeah. Remember, Brigham Young demanded that all slaves have to be educated, and if you were caught with a slave that you weren't providing free schooling for, you're in trouble.
Wow. That's true.
Anyway, so this guy, Mormon Stories Podcast, the the armpit of cult porn internet, has Roger Hendricks on.
Okay.
And Roger Hendricks is just a wily dude. You just got to look in the guy's eyes. Just look, I'm not even going to describe it. I'm just going to let the viewer look into this man's eyes for a minute, and that'll be all the description that you need. But this dude, this ex-Mormon dude, he explains this great conspiracy about how the church, this nefarious plot to go all over the world at the expense of generous donors and the church itself to educate people who need it the most. Like, what a diabolical plot. And he explained, now he's super long-winded. This guy is the slowest talker in the world. I mean, who's going to watch 3 hours?
And let me guess, they say that they'll probably end up saying, I've never seen these clips. Okay, full disclosure, I've never seen these clips, right?
They could all be Rickrolls, Carden. They could all be Rickrolls.
They could all be Rickrolls, yeah, exactly. But full disclosure, I've never seen all these clips. But let me guess. They're going to say, unless it's their version of education, an education that is proto-Marxist and basically says the world can be boiled down to oppressed versus oppressor and power dynamics, that it has nothing to do with merit. It has nothing to do with self-actualization. It has nothing to do with spiritual, physical, physical or mental growth. It all has to do with being just like every other university that's constantly strapped, constantly broke, and constantly teaching corporate nonsense and woke garbage in order to please the powers that be to give them one more year's worth of donation, that unless they have been completely discredited and broken and crappy like Harvard, that it's not a real education. That's probably what they're going to say. And their beef is going to be that the church is coming in and actually giving people microloans to start small businesses and actually teaching men how to fish instead of giving men to fish, and instead of addicting them to welfare, teaching them how to start a business. And that's why he's going to say this isn't a real education. That's just what I'm suspecting. I see you smiling. How correct am I?
I'm so excited for you to watch it. I'm so excited for you to watch it. It is so great. I'm so excited for you to listen to this. Okay. I'm sorry if it's long. The guy talks so slow, so I had to clip it up, but I'm so excited for you guys to watch this.
Okay,
cool. Give it a shot.
So here we go. What's his name again? Jonah, what'd you say his name was?
Roger Hendricks.
Roger Hendricks. Okay, so here we go. Roger Hendricks on the Mormon Stories. John DeLynn still has not renamed it the Anti-Mormon Stories Podcast. So
Anti-Mormon Anecdotes.
Yeah, they literally should just be called Anti-Mormon Anecdotes. Yeah, so here we go. On the Anti-Mormon Anecdotes podcast, go.
And so you go into Africa and you start delivering the services which they have for 20 years plus, sacrament meeting, building little chapels, seminary, early morning seminary, relief society, etc. Plus you add BYU pathways in a place like Africa. And so
now, here, pause for just a sec. Pause for now.
That seems like a good plan, right? Like, I mean,
now,
is it just me?
I know that seems
or
like
does that actually just seem like a natural consequence of wanting to help a society do better is you use an already existing pipeline and integrate it into...
You're so gullible, Carden, please. Okay. Like if you notice, one thing he casually drops in there, doing those things like they've been doing for 20 years.
Yes.
Okay. It's not like this is last week we launched this initiative. The Q15 got together in the cellar with their skull and bones, and they were like, all right, let's go. And they launched. We've been doing this forever. And by the way, we've been doing this everywhere forever.
Yeah.
Okay. Everywhere we go.
We do it in America too.
Yes, we do it everywhere.
I would be willing to wager that we probably educate more people remotely via the Pathways program in America than we do in Sierra Leone or all of West Africa.
I'll bet you times 1,000. Absolutely.
Like what? Are we colonizing America now too?
Neocolonialism.
Yeah, neocolonialism in Boise, Idaho. Neocolonialism in Mesa, Arizona. You know?
Diabolical.
Who are these people? Like, do we really consider this like an academic and an informed, an erudite, or an intelligent response?
No, okay, you just got to keep going. Keep going.
There's more clips. Better. Okay, there's more clips. Okay, so that was Education is Oppression. Here's clips 2 of more services. Go.
And then all of the sudden, Africans who can afford it in the poorest part of Africa, they're saying the church is delivering more to me than I could ever give to it.
Well, they're delivering more, that's for sure.
Delivering more services, more.
But it's actually against our doctrine to say, then I could give to it, because pride is a sin of comparison and grace is not dependent upon your own works. So you're actually trained not to view your relationship with the church or with Jesus Christ that way. But okay, that's neither here nor there. That's like
I'm just imagining John Dehlin interviewing this guy, and there's the cut mic button. And as this guy talks, his hand is slowly sliding over like, what is he? Because he's like, and all of a sudden the church is giving them opportunities and education and services and making their lives wonderful. And they're saying, this is amazing. Yeah. I love this. And John Dillon's like, what is he talking about? It's just like,
stop it. That's not cult porn. You're making him sound good. You're making him sound good.
No, and it took like 10 minutes for him to get to his point. So play the next clip where we're starting to get to the guy's point. The church is doing amazing things for people. They're starting to see that the church is making their lives better.
Okay, so this clip is called More Money Gasp. I've never seen these things. We're just reacting to them right here. So here we go.
Believe that Africans will make a lot of money. And I believe that as we throw our oar into the educational sea there, it will pay off and we'll be known for that. And we give much more than we get.
Wait, by the way, is that a bad thing? As a charitable organization, a real 501c3, a real religious 501c3.
So what you're saying is we actually are an honestly effective charity. Like not a corrupt one. Like we really are we're net loss because we're genuinely educating and lifting up these people.
Okay, let's let
the camera roll.
Yeah, well, Luke is back. Luke is back now. We'll let this clip finish, and then we'll see what Luke thinks. Here's the rest of the clip.
In other words, the church gives you more than you get, and so I don't think tithing will be an issue. I don't think the priesthood band. Not when you're making more money. Believe that.
Wait, so it's for money?
Like here, play the next clip because that goes right along. This is the last clip.
Okay, it's the last clip right here, and it's called No Quibbling, right?
Yep.
Okay, last clip, no quibbling. These cats, man.
A better living. They're not going to quibble about tithing. They're not going to quibble about, the golden plates. They're going to say...
or the black priesthood ban that was lifted in 78.
and plus, right? And plus we don't have to worry about that because we're in bed with the NAACP and a better living.
Okay, so wait. So what he says is he describes that we're going to make these people's lives just amazing. We're going to do all these great things for them. A net loss to ourselves to raise them out of poverty, to educate the masses in these distant lands. And why? Because if we do, they're not going to quibble about tithing. They're not going to quibble about the priesthood ban, 1978. By the way,
this doesn't make any sense.
I know.
This doesn't make any sense because the reason why we want them to pay tithing is for us to get more money, according to them. But he just admitted that we're losing way more money than we're going to get.
Yes.
So what's the point of trying to convince them that to pay tithing if we have to spend more than we? I don't get it, Jonah.
I don't get it. Yeah, I don't get it. John Dehlin jumps in and he's like, and by the way, I hope everybody remembers that every time John Dehlin mentions the priesthood ban, John Dehlin was like 3 years old. Okay. He was in diapers, people, when he's always like, the trauma of the 1978 priesthood ban. It's like, you were a kid in the pews eating Cheerios off the floor. You weren't suffering trauma from this. He always acts like, I was just
the thing that bothers me is, regardless of that, because the trauma of things can last generations after they existed. Like we can still point
not
to...
for John.
Yeah, not for John.
Not
yes,
for African, right. Not from John, from sub-Saharan Africa, John. Sorry.
And with the quotes that are on the internet about the things he said about Kwaku, I think I would be...
He's over it.
I would say, okay, cool. I was about to say, we won't bring that one back up again, okay? Yeah. But I will say this, like, he mocks, and by he, I mean this interviewee. What is his name again, Jonah?
Roger Hendricks.
Okay, so Roger Hendricks literally tried using as a talking point against the church the fact that they're so buddy-buddy with the NAACP. And then John Dehlin tries to invoke the priesthood ban. Mm-hmm. And like, you'd think Okay, wait. So which is it? They're faulted for being such good friends with civil rights leaders. You know what I'm saying? And they're,
right.
You know what I'm saying? Like what? Maybe they're disingenuous about it. Do you have a smoking gun of some like quotes that Russell M. Nelson said, about black people that have resurfaced from that? I don't know, that quorum, that Q15 meeting in 2023 that none of us were aware of. You know what I'm saying? But like, which is it? Is Joseph Smith a bumbling idiot on page 1, but then by page 3, he's this, this glorified super hyper genius con man? Like which is it? Are we the colonialists trying to abuse and oppress the West Africans? Or are we the church that is losing tons of money in a wildly beneficial for them and not financially for us education program? Like, which is it? But like in the same sentence, one of them tries to invoke oppression. One of them tries to invoke friendship with the NAACP as a bad thing.
As a bad thing.
You know what I'm saying? Or as evidence, of a bad thing, as evidence of some kind of disingenuous relationship, right? And then it's like, okay, well, what? Are you better friends with them? Like, I'm sorry, but like the ex-Mormon, anti-Mormon community is not batting 1,000 on race relations, okay? First off, representation. There's not one of them that is black. There's tons of black pro-Mormon channels out there. You got Brothers in the Foyer, you got Leighton Cook, you got Kwaku L, you got like just endless, just entertainers, artists. From Bachelor Liv all the way to Mauli Bonner, all the way back in the day with Alex Boyd. Like, you could just talk for days about the pro LDS black members of the church, right? Now go on to ex-Mormon, anti-Mormon YouTube, and it's just crickets. It looks literally like a retirement villa full of guys like this that are just angrier and angrier and angrier every year. That I guess what, the NAACP is not friends with them.
Yeah, and explain to me. So are we insinuating that the NAACP is stupid?
Yeah,
like that they've been played? Like, is that the insinuation that like those idiots?
I guess so.
They don't understand what's good for black people, but here, this Roger Hendricks guy, he knows what's really good for black people. Like, I don't understand. Like, what's the insinuation that the NAACP are a bunch of gullible, saps? Like, what? Yeah, I don't get it.
So Luke,
it appears so.
Luke, hit us, man. Hit us. Like, you served there. You know what's going on. Tell us what the real deal is. I lived with them. I was a 5-minute walk away from the church. Yeah, so I lived with Africans for a year. Specifically Sierra Leone and then Ghana for another year. And this is not the way that they think. Like, I'm sorry, but I'm sorry, John DeLynn. I'm sorry. What's this guy's name, Jonah?
Roger Hendricks.
Roger. I'm sorry, Roger, but like, priesthood ban got brought up like 2 times. And one of them was by an anti-pastor guy trying to discredit the church. Like, this is just not on their radar. And in fact, if any colonialism is happening, it would probably be from the wokes trying to infuse that Marxist ideology into Africa. That's the only ideological colonialism I'm seeing. It's not from teaching them trigonometry on a hillside on a blackboard like I was doing. Sorry.
Yeah,
it's just not.
Now this picture, by the way, like this picture is like super cool, my man. What is the story behind this? Like, I mean, was this like an official class, or was this just part of a local university?
We were just out. We were just proselyting, and there were some kids, and they were doing like their homework. And so they'll just have kind of like whiteboards, which is sometimes just like a piece of, or blackboards, I should say, which is sometimes just like a piece of wood painted. Okay. And they had chalk, and they're trying to like figure out their trigonometry stuff. Dude. We had, some time. One of them was a member, I think. And so I just kind of spent 30-45 minutes just kind of drawing all those triangles, teaching them some trigonometry. I just got rid of their textbook. I don't know what methods they used to teach. So I just kind of did it the way that I thought was best. And I think they picked some stuff up. Well, that wasn't actually the only time. We were invited by an investigator to teach a class, and we taught geography to like a class of 30 students for an hour. We didn't know the geography at all, but we just like kind of look at the book and then be like, all right, so the such and such river is on the east side, and and this one's on the west side. Okay, you got that? But
So
it was
you were
great.
a crappy.
I don't have a picture of that.
You were a
unfortunately.
crappy associate professor. You were a crappy substitute teacher, is what you were saying right now.
Yes.
We're just
yes.
kidding,
I
we're
was
just kidding.
I was just there for the tithing money. What can I say?
Yeah.
Right. You're there to spread the oppression.
I'm
Were
actually
you in the meeting with the Q15, Luke? Were you there when they all met?
We can't actually talk about that, Jonah. I'm sorry.
I
Maybe off
knew it.
air, but not here.
I just
Knew
can't.
it.
I just can't get over my man. I mean, I am just impressed. I'm looking at this picture. You have sine, cosine, and tangent. You have the a squared plus b squared equals c squared, and then you're square rooting both as the Pythagorean theorem.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, dog, did you literally just remember all of this from like 10th grade geometry, bro?
Yes. Yes, I did.
This is torture. This is oppression. These poor children are living happy lives, and you're introducing them to trigonometry, you sicko. You sicko.
I'm sorry.
That's funny.
Sorry.
So what's the real deal with education what's the real deal on the ground? You live there. What's the real deal with education in Sierra Leone? Because that was originally the impetus of this podcast, is we were talking
Here's
about
the thing.
the church.
Here's the thing.
Yeah.
John Boleyn, whatever the guy's name, who I forgot again, is, they can speak English. It's their native tongue. And that is a great advantage, especially when you're trying to do like world trade, which in a small country like Sierra Leone, if you are part of some business or something, it can only grow so much until you start interacting with other countries. And when that comes, you need some sort of a common language, or you need to spend a ton of resources on translation. So at the bare minimum, knowing how to speak English, which some of the older people in the villages don't know how to do, and some of the younger people don't know how to do very well. In fact, one of the schools in Sierra Leone, the front of the school said, "Speak good English" on it. So obviously there's always room for improvement. And the more you can do that, the more you can interact with the world. And that is like great for trade. That's great for economics. And the more people that can do that, it's just better and better news for the country.
Yeah, there's a better chance of you lifting more people out of poverty if they have a common denominator. And the first common denominator is oftentimes language and culture. Okay. So you did a lot of work just trying to improve English. Is that what you're saying? Was that what you saw was one of the things that helped?
I didn't,
or what?
but that's a need that it's there.
Okay. Awesome. Yeah. And so, Jonah, you said that the church is taking over a lot of the education in Sierra Leone, and we've kind of debunked the whole education is oppressive nonsense that the Anti-Mormon Anecdotes podcast put out. Okay. What is the church actually proactively doing in order to promote education? I guess presumably of English, of what? What are they doing? We've disproven, we've debunked the stupid claim. What's the actual reality?
So the Succeed in School program, SIS program that the church is doing, is a stake facilitated program. So in the stakes there in Sierra Leone, and I'm not sure how many stakes there are. I think there's quite a number, but the church uses
like 9 now.
Okay. So the church uses stake resources to find tutors and facilities that the children can, and equipment the children can use. It's an after school program, and it's totally volunteer. I mean, the kids can come if they want, and they'll have a tutor explain and help catch them up on certain subjects. And it's not limited to just English. They do mathematics, reading, writing, studying, life skills. So that's going to be, I'm so glad they do some kind of home ec, some kind of life skill thing. And they also, the parents can come and participate and watch the whole thing if they want. And they'll also prepare the kids for specific exams. If there's an exam to get a trade license or an exam to get into a university or whatever, they'll help the kids prepare for that exam so they can get licensed or accredited or whatever it is. And it's from middle school to high school. And some of the stakes are doing it there in Sierra Leone. They're trying to roll it out to more of them. And they go over there, despite whatever, it sounds really good, but they still have auditors go over from the church and make sure that it's accomplishing the things it's supposed to be accomplishing. I mean, it isn't being corrupted, it isn't being co-opted or whatever. So it's a fantastic program, and it lifts kids. Look, there could be an Albert Einstein living in a grass hut in Sierra Leone. There could be an Isaac Newton living there.
Yeah.
But if they don't have the resources to get educated. They don't have the opportunity to do it. We all lose. Everyone loses.
Yeah.
Because we don't get those geniuses. We don't get those entrepreneurs. We don't get those scientists or those leaders out of those communities. Education is a win for everybody. And so the church is losing money and expending huge resources to educate these kids for the benefit of the kids, the children of God, and the whole world. It's a great program. Sending spies like Luke Hansen over there.
Yeah. Armed with blackboards that show trigonometry in the extra half hour he has before his 4 o'clock after lunch. You know,
trying to juice the tithing out of those 11-year-old Sierra Leone kids playing soccer with a watermelon.
$10,000 on them, so then they give us $500 of tithing.
Yeah, exactly. So, all right, awesome. Well, let us know what you guys think in the comments below. Is education oppression in your minds? Like, really, ex-Mormon, anti-Mormon hate watchers? Please, you know who you are. Like, I guess Chris, Nathan, Dirk.
My man.
You know what I'm saying? My man. Please justify the phrase, the education is oppression.
Help us understand.
Help us understand how the system that loses money helping the third world get better educated under the hopes of not making money back because they're such good friends with the NAACP. Like, just tell me how that was not an accidental puff piece. All right, you know, just tell me how that was not an accidental puff piece, and let's continue the conversation below. And as always, guys, for this and more, please check us out at wardradio.com.
I just feel so good. Oh, I just feel so good.